Where did she probably get this from? Probably came time in her early 20s when she was just like going after one super hot guy after another and losing the ability to pair bond. And so now what happens is, because she's become so intolerant for us to deal with, for a man to deal with, her response is, instead of dealing with the rejection and the fact that she's probably not a good person to be in a relationship with, all men are abusers, all men are gluttonous, or even the vast majority. And it's just utter and complete nonsense.
That article that came out where it said that having a boyfriend is embarrassing, I am very certain, and I've been treating this like a case study, I've been observing, collecting data, but the only women who are in long-term relationships are the ones who have a high tolerance for mediocrity. And people love to say that in our day and age, love is dead and that people used to make it work. My grandma and grandpa were together 52 years. My grandma loved my grandpa dearly, but she did everything. Whenever I see a long-term couple work it out, it is because that woman is doing everything and she has done the mental gymnastics to accept the bare minimum. She has convinced herself that she either doesn't want those things that she used to want, or she has made some kind of justification in her sacrifice, in being the matriarch. In any of these long-term relationships, I never see where the woman gets a better deal. I see where the man gets essentially an indentured servant. He gets free labor, free childcare, free cooking, free cleaning, and she gets him. And I would say the best case scenario, she maybe doesn't have to work, but in most of the scenarios, she is also working and she is doing all of the housework. I'm sure there is a very small majority that maybe has one of the good ones, as you guys would love to say, but I don't even trust you guys because I see the mental gymnastics that you do to live in that cognitive dissonance because no one wants to admit that they are accepting the bare minimum. No one's going to admit that they're unhappy, or else honestly, you would have a psychotic break. You would probably kill yourself. But for most, and when I sit down with my friends and I hear actually what's going on in their relationship, what it is built on is extreme codependence. It is the woman who has her childhood wounds, who painfully desires to be picked, who is in absolute survival mode, whose cortisol is shot up so high that it has literally shut down her prefrontal cortex to even be able to think, to see that there is a life that could be peaceful without this man. She can barely make decisions. And I've just accepted at this point, my tolerance is so low. I truly used to think I was someone, I was like, I'm going to have 5 kids. I'm going to get married one day. I thought I really desired that, but I'm just like, how could I ever give up this peace? Whenever I'm with a man, I'm crying. My nervous system is out of whack. And even for the good ones, let's say not a narcissist, not a chronic abuser, their emotional intelligence is just not there. They're not that interesting. They're not that smart. They're naturally selfish. They're gluttonous. I could not stand a man. I will never have a man in my house again eating my food. See what I mean? My tolerance, there's no way. And I'm like, for the women who are having a man live in their house, that are eating their snacks, that are being selfish, that you are having to teach them basic concepts like empathy, that you are doing their laundry and cleaning up after them. But I just feel like it has to be the only way to make it work. Wow. And I'm opting out. I'm opting out of that contract.
Okay, I'm just curious, one at a time. What do you guys think about that?
I do believe that it depends on individual. I mean, who knows what type of person if she's giving her perspective, she's giving it off of whoever she's talking about.
Interesting. That's a really good point. Yes.
I don't think that goes for the mass. I mean, everybody's relationship is something different.
That is very enlightened of you.
When she said small majority, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Maybe silent majority?
She meant small minority.
Small minority. Okay.
Yeah.
I lost her after that part. This girl's an idiot. So yeah, I mean, I think she had some points here about bad men. Everyone has a story about a bad person in their life.
Yeah. But if I were to go to her and say, hey, did you know that most men aren't narcissists or abusers? She'd be like, that's not true.
Yeah. Right.
That's
her reality.
Because that's the reality that she lives in.
Also, you can hire a maid. They're very cheap. And you can also hire nannies. I feel like if I have kids, I'm going to have a nanny for the nighttime and daytime. And my wife isn't going to wake up at 3 a.m.
Not everyone can afford that.
Yeah, it's fine. But my reality is okay, that's not I don't know what she's talking about. Right. Yes. So it's to me, I'm like, okay, I can't get it.
What do you think?
I wholeheartedly disagree based on my experiences. I'd have to agree with you that I think it's wherever she's coming from, it is entirely her experience. I think it's unfair to blanket paint sexes, the genders in one light or another. Just like women don't like to be painted a certain way, I don't think it's very fair that we do the same to men.
Yeah. I kind of related to some of the things that she said. I think in relationships, I noticed that I kind of did some things. I was a little more self-sacrificial than maybe I should have, but I didn't mind doing it. And I don't have any anger, any what do you call it, resentment
Sure.
because of it, because I'm like, that's just how I was.
I'm going to propose a different opinion, and I'm not going to talk about her reality or my reality.
Okay.
In reality, she's full of shit. And the reason why she's full of shit is because probably at some point she became an intolerant person to date. And because of that, she got the worst out of men. And so now everyone's an abuser and a narcissist. I know so many women who are in happy relationships with men. Like I said before, do I clean my place all the time? I try, like especially keeping up with my pets, but I hire a fucking maid. There's no reason.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend comes over and I have my mobile detail unit come and detail her car like as a surprise. This is nonsense. It's a new trend on TikTok that having a boyfriend is an embarrassment. That's what essentially what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so because she believes this, and partially where did she probably get this from? Probably came time in her early 20s when she was just like going after one super hot guy after another and losing the ability to pair bond. And so now what happens is because she's become so intolerant for us to deal with, for a man to deal with, her response is instead of dealing with the rejection and the fact that she's probably not a good person to be in a relationship with, all men are abusers, all men are gluttonous, or even the vast majority. And it's just utter and complete nonsense. Do you guys know most men don't cheat? No, women who only date guys who drive Ferraris and live in Miami don't believe when I say this. Most women don't cheat. Most men don't cheat. Most men, the vast majority of men, are not physical or verbal abusers. This is shocking. Women's ears are burning right now listening to me. How dare you say this? That's not my reality, Michael. I don't give a fuck about your reality. I give a fuck about the reality. And in the reality, what's happened is when I see this very often is I'll deal with a woman who's dealt with a lot of trauma. It's not her fault. I understand she's dealt with a lot of trauma. And now it's every man from this point forward's fault for why she's having to deal with this trauma. You just like what you said, bro, a nanny and a fucking housekeeper. Stop with this nonsense about you're doing most of the work. I order out every night. This is crazy, man. I have the girls that I date, I help build their businesses. It's nuts when I hear this. And I know a ton of guys that are just like this. She is full of cope, and I understand why, because she's been hurt. And I love women because I haven't been hurt. My experiences with the opposite sex have been nothing but positive. Yeah. So I don't have the same opinion. But it's not that I don't have the same opinion because it doesn't work. It's that I meet guys, for instance, when you talk about you would make a girl's life easier. That girl, as long as you maintain boundaries, that girl would be a nightmare for some other guy, but she's going to be an angel for you because you have status and maintain boundaries. That's the other part. These men that she's having problems with, I promise you, if she was a non-masculine girl who's trying to get a bunch of attention on social media, she might find a good guy. But hey, don't listen to me because I'm just some fucking knuckle dragging massage who just says, I mean, it's just so crazy to me, like to put everybody in this category.
What's crazy about this, and I experienced this personally. I mean, I was in a relationship for the last 6 months, and then we recently broke up. And it was like I would actually get sent these videos from her, and it was like, oh my God. It was like something like
from her,
Jesus,
while you were dating,
while we're dating,
Whoa.
and I'm not gonna like say bad things. I'm just gonna say like this has infested so many people's minds.
Yes.
And it's like this idea that like
Having
men
a
are
boyfriend.
bad. Having a boyfriend is embarrassing was a concept that like she didn't say it, but I could feel it, right? So I took her to Costa Rica like on the first month of us dating, and I was like, we're gonna go to Costa Rica, we're gonna have a great time. And I said, you're not coming to the resort unless you post me on your Instagram story. And I had to force it. I had to like really like put my foot down. And
Hard lunch.
And before we were even dating, I posted her on my Instagram story because I wanted to be like, hey, look, like I'm just gonna show you I'm coming forth with like I'm serious, right? And it just really rubbed me the wrong way when she did it, and I had to force it. Ultimately didn't work out. She's a great person, you know, whatever. But the point is that like there are signs. I think this is much more damaging for women for their own happiness long term.
All of these videos are coming sort of in the wake of this one. I want to say it was an article. I want to say it was in the Atlantic, and it was about how young women were embarrassed to have a boyfriend. And let me tell you, everybody took that and they ran with it. Everybody that was just content fodder for everybody because they just wanted to turn something out. And so on one of our shows, we were even talking about this earlier. Scott Galloway jumped in on this, was like, oh yeah, it's because men aren't living up to their, women's expectations. And if they would just be better men, then they would, then women wouldn't be embarrassed of them. And then you got this girl right here who's saying she's got such impossibly high standards that it must be some sort of glitch in the matrix or something, that she just can't find the right guy or whatever. And the long and the short of it is that we live in a social media age right now. If women post a picture of a guy, they lose market share on Instagram. Simple as fucking that. That's all there is. You go and you take one picture of you with the guy on a beach somewhere. That's why you do the soft launch, right? You got it's just the hands together, or it's like you're on the beach, and you're not introducing the guy, because the minute that they introduce the guy, it dispels every illusion, every exactly. What works for women on Instagram, on Twitter, on any kind of, so especially Instagram, but any kind of social media that's sort of based on measuring your ego in likes, followers, hearts, whatever the it is, right? As soon as you post the picture of that guy with you, all that drops off. And women know this instinctually. Even married women, there's always this side-by-side comparison. It's like you got Ronaldo, you got Messi, you got like the soccer players who are like the top soccer players in the world. You look at their Instagram and they're on a family vacation. The chick is there. She's like this gorgeous supermodel, right? It's his wife and their kids are there and he's there and they're smiling on the beach somewhere. On her Instagram, same beach, just her in a bikini, laying back in the surf, right? That's because they're selling you the illusion of sexual availability, and as soon as that's dispelled, gone.
Here's the other issue here is that when the woman posts her man, he starts to get attention from other women.
Yes, that happens too.
Right, and
so it's a little differently. What I learned, so I was a dancer here in Vegas for 12 years. What I learned when someone came into the club, they were there to have a connection. So with that, we touched their shoulder, we touched their leg, we did that through touch.
Yeah.
And so now through online, those guys still want that connection with that woman. So that's why they don't want to see it with another man, because they want to see themselves with it.
Yeah, they have
of course. Yeah, I mean, it's the male fantasy,
like,
right?
Did you hear about that Liz the Wizard?
Yeah, Wizard Liz.
Yeah, Wizard Liz.
About her getting cheated on?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is like the guy was writing songs about her. Of course he's gonna cheat. He's the guy she was with was in every possible way a male feminist. He's exactly who I'm talking about. The biggest harassers and gaslighters of women are men who call themselves male feminists.
Wow.
I love women. I am all for women succeeding in the world, but I don't call myself a feminist because I understand what that is not egalitarian. What that word means is that it's the subjugation of men for the benefit of women. It's not based in reality. And so because of that, like if I love someone, I tell them the truth. If these guys, they don't love you because they're lying to you. They're gaslighting the shit. No one the biggest gaslighter of women on the entire internet is a guy named Chris GQ Perry. Millions and millions of followers, just basically blatantly lying to women about what they should expect from men. It is the most amazing shit I've ever seen. And when I look at it and see that his engagement is 100,000x mine, I just realize the uphill battle I have. However, I guarantee you, I can sell more high ticket courses than he can because I can show receipts and results and scientific evidence. He can't, because what he's saying is hokum astrology nonsense.